In this video, we're going to look at how to create quizzes in the portal. And so I'm logged in right now as the teacher, Steve Carter. So I'm going to create a class quiz in my AP English class. And a really efficient way to do that is just go to that row, that line, and Actions, and I'm going to select Add Quiz. And what we'll do right now is I'm going to create a new quiz. But just know that if you've created quizzes in the past, or even for other classes, that you don't have to recreate them for each one of your classes. You could go and add them from the library. So we're going to go here to New, and that brings up the quiz builder. So I'm focused on this class, and I've got a couple of them that are already set up and ready to go, but I just want to go over the properties here. So I'm going to give it a name, and I'm just going to call this one Quiz 3. And then I'll give the instructions of, please read, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to set how many minutes the students have after they click the Start button before it times out on them. And then I'm going to select a due date. I have to make this visible to the students if I want them to be able to take it, to do the quiz. So I suppose this may be something that if I wanted to create this and it's due next week, or I want them to, not see it until next week, I could just leave this unchecked and then come back when I'm ready and make it visible. Or I could go ahead and say, yes, I want to make it visible, but I don't want it to become visible until maybe the 16th if I want them to, see it then, maybe complete it by the 17th. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say I want that to be visible as of April 9. If I would like for the students to be able to just repeatedly submit this quiz so they can take it over and over and over, then I could check this. And then I have the option of making the score visible to the parents and the students. And that's really, it might make more sense if it followed this setting. Make the reviewed quiz visible to parents and students, because it's on the reviewed quiz, and I'll show you this, that we're saying should they see the score. So I could say, yes, I want to make this reviewed quiz visible to them so they can see what their answers were. And then if I want to, I could say, in addition to that, on the quiz, I want them to see their score or not be able to see their score. And then a very powerful feature here is that I could go here and say, I want to add this to my gradebook as an assignment. We refer to these as columns in the gradebook. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to say, let's see, I want this to be categorized as a quiz. And then what marking period does this count in? I'm going to select the third marking period. And then what is the maximum possible points? I'll say it's 25. And then do I want the student's score to affect their average in the third marking period in this class? And I'll say more about that too. Okay, so I've set the properties for a quiz. And then I'm going to go and add one or more sections, and just kind of generically, but I'm going to name this one Section 1. I could have Section 2, Section 3. And then, especially if we're doing this in class, I want to randomize the questions. Or if maybe they're doing this from home or remotely, I don't want them to be able to say, hey, what'd you get on number 3? And everybody knows what number 3 was. Okay, so you can randomize the questions. And the next thing that I would do is go and add the questions. So I'm going to stop there in this process of creating a new quiz and just kind of quickly go and show you the quizzes that I've already created. So I'm now just back at the teacher's home screen just to get a kind of refresh or reset from what we were just doing. And whereas the first time around what I did was I said, well, I want to go and create a new quiz. What I'm going to do now is just go and click on this class, and then I see my quizzes. So I have a class quiz, and I'm going to go ahead and go into this one. Okay, so you see I named it Class Quiz 2. Here are the instructions for it. It's 20 minutes. Here's when it's due. Here's when I publish it. I have everything checked here. And it's categorized in my gradebook as a quiz. It counts in the third marking period. It's 40 possible points, and I want it to count in the average. So now I'm going to go and look at the sections, and I see there's just the one section. So I'll click Edit on this one, and then add edit questions. Okay, so we're really back where we got you when I was creating the new one. And just to refresh, you can see here that I'm going to go and select the different question types. And I have essay, file upload, multiple choice dropdown, multiple choice, multiple answers, multiple choice one answer, short description, and true or false. And what I've done on this particular quiz is I've added each one of these question types once. So there's one essay, there's one file upload, one of each of these. And then the question, I've actually put in notes about how these fields work and what differentiates them between each other. Okay, so let me just use one as an example here. Let's do the multiple choice dropdown. So I'll edit there. So we put in the question, or as I just said, the explanation of like how does this type of a question type work, how many possible points, I want to randomize the students' choices, the order that they see the choices in, and then I'm going to mark one or in one case multiple answers as being correct. And let me go ahead and go to that one. So I'm just going to edit this, multiple choice, multiple answers, just so you can see this. That you can indicate here, you can set multiple answers as being correct. And I've said here that on this question, there's a total possible points of 10, right? And then I selected this, allow partial credit for correct answers. And what's required here is that the total number of points equals the possible points. So I don't know about you, but sometimes what I think of as either one of these answers is correct. Okay, and so I want to give you 10 points if you say it this way, or 10 points if you want to say it that way. So if I try to do that, I'm going to get an error that tells me that the total possible points for all of the correct answers needs to match the total, needs to equal the possible points. Okay, so I'm going to save that. And the next thing we'll do is I'm going to log in as a student, and you'll see how the student can interact with this quiz. So now I'm logged in as Kendall Albrecht. She is in my AP English class, and she can either go into this class and then we can go and she can see the quizzes and the homework and assignments and everything. But I'm going to show you an even more efficient way to do this, and that is to come down to the coursework. Now she's got a lot of things going on. We can see here that class quiz 2 is available here, but it is also possible for a student to go and say, well, I want to filter this out. So what are all my quizzes? And I see there's class quiz 2, it's due tomorrow. I see it. The student sees it because the teacher said publish it before this date and make it visible. So let's see, I'll be Kendall. I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to study a little bit. Now I'm ready. I want to take this quiz. So I go over to Actions and click there and then Take Quiz. So the student sees the instructions, they see when it's due, and they see how long they have to complete it. And they click Start Quiz. Their timer starts when they start the quiz. And we're going to see these questions randomly displayed. So this one, this is the essay type. It requires a narrative answer, and it allows that in a rich text box. So, maybe, and I'll just be really brief with this. Here's my answer, blah, blah, blah. This is my essay. But maybe the teacher said, and I want this to be formatted in a certain way, or maybe add links or add pictures, add a table here so you can organize your information better. So they can do a lot with this, but the bare minimum is that they have to put some kind of text in here. There is an or option here. They could upload a file and then describe that. So I could go here and say, oh, I already wrote this all out and I have a Word doc with that, and I'll just select this one here. And then maybe in the description I may want to say, here it is. This is not auto-gradable because our software isn't going to read the file they upload or the text they put in here and be able to determine whether or not you, the teacher, would say, yeah, they got it or they didn't. Okay, so this has to be reviewed by the teacher to award any points at all. Okay, so when the student's happy with that one, they can save and go to the next question. And we see the next one is the true or false. It presents answers in a column, not in a drop-down. You'll see the drop-down option in a few minutes. So in a column with radio buttons, it requires one answer, and there's a limit of 2 possible answers. So true, false, and I go on to say that. It could be true, false, yes, no, A, B, agree, disagree, whatever 2 options you want to give them, but with true, false, you can't have more than 2 options. This one is auto-gradable because when you create this question, you have to say one of these is the correct answer, and you can put in the number of points that they earn for a correct answer. Okay, so the next one, well, good. This one is the multiple choice drop-down. Presents the answers in a drop-down list, just like you see here. Many answers can be listed, so you could put in here yes, no, maybe, all of the different options you want to give them. But only one can be selected. And it is auto-gradable because, again, like the other, you must indicate which one is the correct answer and attribute the possible points to that correct answer. Okay, then we have a multiple choice one answer, very similar to the drop-down, except that it displays the answers in a column with radio buttons. You can have as many possible answers as you want to offer the students. It requires one answer. And is limited to one answer, and it is auto-gradable. So I'm going to go ahead and say this one is, we'll say incorrect 1. And then we have a short description, and I think I must have already done this quiz for this student before. That's why you're seeing answers here, but our quiz builder doesn't give the students any answers like you're seeing here. And then we have multiple choice, multiple answers. This is the one where they can get partial credit. So it displays the answers in a column with radio buttons, just like you see here, where more than one answer may be set as correct. It requires a minimum of one answer, but there's no maximum. So it could be select all of the things that are true, and it could be everything if you want it to be. They must select all of the correct answers to be awarded all available points. It is auto-gradable, but you have to review it to modify the points that are given. And here's my file upload option. It allows file upload and also a file description box. So I can upload a file. I'll just do the same thing I did before. And I'll just say, here it is. A file must be uploaded before the student can go to the next question. So it's not an option to say, I don't feel like uploading something. They must upload something or else they can't finish this quiz. Probably not a surprise. It's not auto-gradable. This is a file that's being uploaded. You'll have to look at it and also award points if that's proper. So as the student, I'm going to save this and click Finish and Submit. And it'll tell them the quiz has been submitted successfully. So now I'm logged in as the teacher again, Steve Carter. From my home page, I'm going to go here to eLocker. I'll select the Quizzes tab, and I want to go to show my class quizzes. So I just want to go to this one class, and I see, okay, so Kendall did this class quiz 2, and I'm going to go and review that. I see that it's telling me right now her score is 10 out of 40. So I'm going to review, and I see that her file was this, and I'm going to open that up and read it and say, oh, right, notice that there's nothing in the score. I'm going to say, all right, good job, 5 points for that one. And then let's see this one. I'm going to download that. I'll look it over. Yeah, pretty good. I'm going to give you 4 points for that one. She answered incorrectly on this one, but that doesn't mean that I can't give her credit. This doesn't really make sense. I don't have a good example of why I would do this, but so you're not locked into whatever score was calculated. And this one, it's worth 10 points. She only got one of them right. I'm just going to leave it at that. So I can leave those alone if I want to. I'm going to leave this one alone. Yep, she missed that one. And then the short description, there's that. I'm going to give her 3.5 points. And this one, she got the right answer. I could just save and close this. Okay, it's going to keep the scores. It's going to put the scores into the gradebook. Or if I wanted to, I won't put them into the gradebook yet until I say the review is completed. So I check this box and save and close it. Okay, and just before I leave this, I could, if I wanted to, maybe she just did so poorly. Notice her score came up because I changed it. I could go here and I could say I want to reset this for this student. So it's going to delete this submission. So then I could confirm that and say, yeah, Kendall, try that again. Give her some pointers or whatever. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go over to my gradebook. So now I'm in the gradebook and I can see this column. This is the class quiz 2. And I see that she actually earned 23.5 points. And just to make sure this is clear, we do see here that it's showing 24 out of 40. But when we go and look at the review, it's telling us more accurately it's 23.5 points. I haven't seen that happen before, but that's, clearly it's not showing the correct thing here in this window. But back here in my grid book, I can see that she earned 23.5 points. If I want that score to be visible as scores on the portal, I do have to go here and make it visible. And so now I've switched back to being logged in as Kendall. And because I made that score visible from within the gradebook, the student can see their average. Her average is reflecting the fact that she had that quiz or the score on the quiz. And she can see this is class quiz 2. Here it is, 23.5 out of 40 points. That's an average of 58.75. It counts in the third marking period. And she can also go to her eLocker and go to quizzes. I'll go to class quizzes. And just like the teachers, a student could say, I want to see all of the quizzes from all of my classes, or filter down just to one class at a time. Okay. And so then I'm going to go and see, okay, class quiz 2, I want to see how did the teacher mark this up for me. So good, I got 5 points on that, only 4 on that one, 1 on that one, even though I got it wrong. So I can review everything here. Okay, so you saw a couple of times this option for lesson plan quizzes. And so that's what I'm going to do just to wrap up here. I'm going to go into one of my classes. I'm going to go to Lesson Planner. And you can see I've created a unit and a lesson. So you'd add units right here, either a new unit or one from a previous year's class or another class this year. So that's the library feature. And then once you've created the unit, then you can create as many lessons as you like. And I have one already done here called Lesson 1. I've added my overview and objectives, and if I edit here, notice that you can do all of these, the formatting. So if you wanted to upload a file here, if you want to have a YouTube video embedded. And then under the activities, one of my options is to add one or more quizzes. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and do this so we can copy it, or sorry, create a new one or copy from another lesson. I'm going to create a new one, and then this should look familiar. So I'm creating a new quiz, but it's going to be a part of this lesson. It's not what we're calling a class quiz, just like a standalone quiz, but it's part of this lesson. And I have already created one, so let's just edit that one. Okay, so all of the same things apply. It has a title, description, duration, due date. Do I want to make it visible? All of the same options. I can put it into my gradebook if I want to. And then I'll go and look at the sections of this, highlight. Okay, so I've basically done the same thing here. I won't repeat all of this. Everything is the same. It's just embedded in a lesson plan. And so the very last thing that I want to show here in this video is the portal manager settings that are required for quizzes to be able to function. Okay, so that's going to be in permissions. And I'll start with teachers. Not that we have to, but it makes sense to me that we start with teachers. Then I could go here and select down here in the section menu options, class quizzes. So if this is not checked, then there's no way that quizzes are going to work for anybody. Teachers have to have this to create the quizzes. And then when we go to students, we have to have those enabled here in the eLocker. And they are going to see those in their coursework box. There's no additional things that you have to do to make the coursework box show for the students. And then if it's desirable to allow parents to see quizzes in the eLocker, you could check this as well. And that's it for quizzes. Let us know if you have any questions.